how to work with date and time and joining text and number in Excel. Let's begin. Before we begin, a very important note. You can download this spreadsheet which I am using from the link given in the description box, as well as the link is given in the suggestion box. This you can use to work along, or you may use it later for your own reference. Let's begin. First of all, date function. So if you have seen our previous video, you already know how to apply formula. So let's say if we want to apply a date function here, what is today's date? So I'll double click on the cell, is equal to today, open the bracket and close the bracket and press enter. So Excel has given you today's date in the format of month, date and year. So February 4th, year is 2021. Now let's say if we want to subtract dates. So find out the difference in days between any two dates. Example, I want to calculate how far is my birthday this year from today's date. Okay, so let's say my birthday is on 18th of August 2021, which will be this year, and I press enter. So here Excel has calculated how far is my birthday from today's date. So if we look at the formula, it has subtracted my birth date, which I have just inserted, from today's date. And similarly, if we want to calculate grace days, so let's take an example. If I have taken a library book and I have today and I have to return it after 10 days. So I'll insert grace period as 10 days, and here I'll add grace days plus today's date. So it will give me a date which is 14th of Feb is when my book is due for return to the library. Now in many cases you will find that Excel returns answer in number format. That is because it calculates date from a base date which is January 1st, 1900. So what you need to do is, in case if you see number here like this, you just have to change the format here to date, and you can custom format to suit your requirement. Now let's look at the time function. It is again very similar to date function. What you need to do is equal to, instead of today we'll type now and we'll press open and close brackets, enter. So it will return the system time which is there, current time in this particular cell. Now let's say if we want to calculate number of hours between a particular period. So how do we do that? Let's take an example. If we want to calculate the number of hours worked by an employee. Okay, so here is an example where we have punched in the in time, the out time, and plus the in and out time of a lunch break which the employee have taken. So how many hours he actually worked? So let's press F2 and look at the formula. What we have done is we have subtracted D32 from D35, that is time out time minus in time. Okay, so that is the total number of hours he was in office, and from these hours we are going to also minus the lunch in time minus lunch out time. So when he came back from lunch and when he went for the lunch. So we always subtract smaller number from the bigger number, right? Now if you notice, we have multiplied this whole thing by 24 and we have put this formula in another enclosed parenthesis, right? Now why is that? Because if we do not multiply this by 24, it would return answer in fraction, right? So if we want to convert it into hours, we'll have to multiply this by 24, correct? So that gives us 8 hours. You can find out more information here. Now let's look at joining text. Suppose we have a data in this format wherein we have a first name and a last name in two different columns. And if we want to join these two text and put it into one cell, how are we going to do that? For example, we want in this format, we first want a last name, then we want a comma, then we want a space, and then we want first name. So for this, what we are going to do is equal to, we'll click on the last name, which is D3, our cell, and then we'll use a shortcut of concatenate function, which is and let's say if we just add the first name here and press enter, it gives us Smith Nancy. It has joined both the cells, right? But we do not want to join it directly. What we need is, we need a comma and a space between Smith and Nancy, right? So again, after this and, we will open an inverted comma and we will define what we want. So we want a comma, we want a space, and then we close the inverted comma. And again, with this condition, we want to join C3, which is my first name cell. So I have used and here and I have used and here to join these things, right? And I'll press enter. So it has given me answer in my desired format. Simple. And you can modify this formula as per your requirement. Whenever we are using text or symbols, we always put it into inverted commas. However, if we want to use numbers, then we can avoid using inverted commas. Now let's take an example. If we want to join text and numbers together. So let's say if we have calculated today's date here using our formula and time here, and we want to join these two cells together. Okay, so what we do is we use our formula is equal to, we take this cell, we use and function, inverted comma for space, again an and function, and then join this cell and press enter. Now it is, of course, it is joining these two texts, but it is changing this format into a number format because Excel doesn't know which format we want. So it converts into its default format, which is the number format. So what we do here is, let's press F2 and explore this formula. We have used the same formula in the beginning, that is concatenate function, but before using D28, we are using another formula for converting this cell into a text format of what we desire. So if you notice, here is a text format wherein we have applied a condition that we want a text of this cell in MMDDYY format. So Excel has also suggested that how we are supposed to insert the formula. So first value and then the desired format, and then we press enter. So now the same answer we are getting in our desired format. Now let's look at some of the common keys in Excel. You can go through this, it is very straightforward. However, these keys are very important and you might use it very frequently. Control Y is to repeat a particular action if you have used a formula and you want to repeat it again. So you can use Control Y, and if you want to go back, you have made an error or you want to go back to a previous step, then you use Control Z. And if you want to drag a particular formula vertically downwards, then you use Control D, and if you want to use a formula towards right, then you use Control R. Now these two, let's have a look with an example. Let's say I want to calculate profit every month, which is 10% of my sales. So I'll insert is equal to sales multiplied by 10%, enter. Now I want to calculate this for all the months. So I press shift and downward arrow key to select all the cells, or I can use mouse, and then I'll press Control D. So now my formula got copied. So here it was calculated on O4. In next I wanted it on O5, 10%, then O6, O7. So when I have dragged the formula, Excel has also modified my cell on the basis of the previous cell. And similarly, let's say I have inserted one formula here to calculate year-on-year growth on the basis of base year. So 20% of the base year, I have calculated it here, and I want to repeat 20% for all the subsequent years. So I'll just press Shift and the right key and select the cells, and then I'll press Ctrl R. So it has calculated 20% on the previous year's number. Simple. You can find more information on the official website of Microsoft Excel. I hope you liked the video. Please visit our website to download this workbook and for more information. Subscribe to our channel. We wish you a very happy learning. Thank you.